Welcome to the Cybersecurity and Cloud Podcast, the podcast where we learn from cybersecurity experts how to stay safe, private, and secure on the cloud and in code. CSCP is hosted by Francesco Cipollone, your cybersecurity friend with a passion for all things cyber and sharing stories of other professionals with you. This episode is sponsored by AppSec Phoenix, the next generation application security platform, enabling organizations to run application security programs in a smart way. Visit www.appsecphoenix.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome. Today we had the pleasure and the honor, I have to say, to have Tanya Janca on the podcast. I've been working with Tanya for quite a long time, and we started the Mentoring Monday. She started the Mentoring Monday, and I picked up and I started this Mentoring Monday podcast for the same exact reason. And we've been quite close together, and I've been very thrilled to have her today on the podcast. So we're going to talk about all things about AppSec, about OWASP, about the community, about women in cyber, and her adventure on cyber, starting from the first chapter, being mentored, the importance of being mentored, the importance of going to conference, and the importance to go and to be sheltered and help other people getting comfortable in the conference. But without further ado, I hope you really enjoy, because I was really super passionate, so I apologize if I got emotional a couple of times, but this podcast really meant a lot for me. So I hope you really enjoy. It's been a great conversation with Tanya. Hello. Do we have Tanya on the call?
Yes, we do.
Hi, Tanya. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Do we have Zoe?
Hello. How are you?
Hi, Zoe, my fantastic co-host. How are you doing?
Excited to be here. Awesome end to a year of your podcast.
Yes, end of the year. Jeez, this year's flown, and we've been discussing about this since forever, and finally we made it happen. So I'm so excited. So apologize if my voice is a little bit shaky because I'm just overjoyed.
Woo!
So let me introduce. We have Tanya. So Tanya is independent consultant. Has covered, actually, you mentioned it, Tanya. You mentioned what you're up to.
So I was part of a startup called Security Sidekick, but we recently decided very peacefully and nicely to part ways because we had different visions for the company. And I know Erin is going to totally rock it without me. And so basically, I'm just doing consulting now and chilling out a bit, which I'm pretty excited about.
I will be.
By chilling out, I mean, I'm writing a book about AppSec, and then I'm doing consulting about cloud security and DevSecOps and AppSec. And then I also help run, the chapters of Women of Security, WoSec, around the world. And then also I just volunteer and do all sorts of other things and stream and write blogs.
Whoa, chilling.
So I'm totally chilling.
That's your definition of chilling. We'd be dead.
But but basically I'm a person that is really into making sure people can make secure software. And so that has been my career focus for many years now. And so I just basically do things that revolve around that. Yeah.
Amazing. So how do we get more Tanya? How do we get more of you and more you in this field? That would be the question.
Well, certainly if people want to follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, so I'm Tanya Janca on LinkedIn, and I'm SheHacksPurple on Twitter because I'm a purple teamer. So I don't know if you could tell, but part of my hair is purple. It's hard to tell because of the light.
It's hard to tell on the camera.
You know what? Actually, just a second, because I didn't turn my lights on. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yes.
But anyway.
You're getting purple by the day.
But the hair is not important, really.
It's a brand. Actually, it is important. Nice. It's your brand.
But they could follow me there. I have a blog on dev.to and on Medium. So whichever one you like to read, it's the same content. I have a YouTube channel, which is, the YouTube address /SheHacksPurple. Basically, if you just look up SheHacksPurple, you're going to find a lot of stuff. I'm speaking at a lot of conferences this year. I still haven't finalized all of them. basically I do a lot of free community things, and because I like it. It doesn't doing community stuff is really fun and I enjoy it. It doesn't make money, but
No.
it's kind of not important sometimes, if that makes sense. Like if you just do the thing that you love that makes you happy, like
Makes you feel better.
yeah,
Just giving
and
back to the community.
exactly.
And I run the CSA chapter and contribute to OWASP. So all the conferences that I go are self-founded. So it's giving back to the community as much as I can, and I love. And we're in such a tough field that if we don't support each other, if we don't stand next to each other and stand strong to defend AppSec, we're gonna get swamped. So I really love that part of the family.
Yes.
Let me introduce Zoe. Zoe, do you want to give a round of introduction of yourself?
Yes. So I'm Zoe Braderman. I'm an independent consultant, still in various parts of security at this point, and because I love various areas, but AppSec and the AppSec community is of specific love, trying to, enable people to securely build nice software that can be useful for a lot of innovation and, software for social innovation as well, such as women recruiting women in tech is a recent thing. Also, science and medical device security is a new thing. Just anything that enables people to develop securely and live securely and fulfilling lives.
Nice.
And I also consult for Jessica, which is an amazing thing. Jessica Robinson, who's WIA Committee North America Chair, PurePoint International.
Amazing. So we're all in AppSec. So is Tanya, you're in the right forum.
Awesome.
So let's crack on with the first probably subject. So Zoe mentioned it a little bit on how to get more women in security and how to start mentoring. So how do we create more amazing? I mean, you're replaceable, but how do we create more of you, a version of you? So that could be in mentoring, that could be how do we grow more security people? What's your take on growing security expertise inside and outside AppSec? Or generally speaking, security?
Yeah, the way I got into security was sort of by accident. So I was a software developer and I wanted to be a software developer forever. But then I met an ethical hacker and he said I would make a great hacker. And I was like, I don't care. I want to build software. I'm like, software developers we're the thing that everything else in IT revolves around. I make something out of nothing every day. Nothing could be better than that.
I create life from software.
But then he showed me all these cool things that you could do. And he just kept coming and teaching me cool things. And then he was in a band and I was in a band. So I was a professional musician for most of my life. I only kind of stopped the past 3 years because I've been traveling the world speaking at conferences. But my whole life I've just been performing, right? And so he was like, our band should play together. I'm like, obviously they should. And we became friends. And then he just for a year and a half hounded me to join security. He's like, come on, man, come on. It'll be so cool. And then
that's a harassment.
I know. So I started
security harassment.
I know. And so I started reading books and just, going into it more and more. And then he's like, okay, I want you to be my apprentice and I'm going to mentor you. And he gave me my first job. And then he took a contract and he told them he'd only come if I could come too. And he just advocated for me in such a strong way. And then eventually I got more mentors because it turns out you should have, as you continue.
More than one.
You have more than one. I have 3 right now for startups because I'm new to startups. And what better way to learn about startups than to get 3 people who have started a ton of really successful companies, right? And so basically the original mentor, eventually we grew apart and I got more mentors and more mentors. And it kind of just moved from there. So for instance, Nicole Becker, she and I started the OWASP DevSecOps project together. And she did all these super cool things and I admired her. And then I got to meet her at a conference. And basically I was just like, I want to be your best friend. And she was totally tolerant of me. And then eventually, you know, she was like, you know, do you want to start this project with me? And I was like, you had me at hello.
Nicole is that awesome. Can confirm.
She's just so amazing. She's just so brilliant and kind. And I'll just gush on and on. So I'm gonna try to stop. But so then her and I, it's like, oh, well, she's like, oh, I did this. And like, let's look at that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I built my own thing now. And then, you know, then Nancy joined us and Franziska joined us. And sometimes it's just about like building a thing together,
Momentum.
doing a thing together. Yeah. And having shared goals. And it kind of trickles down, like unlike trickle down economics, which is most people don't think is real. I do believe that you can have trickle down learning. So like, Franziska joined our project and she taught me a lot about WAF. And then I taught her about pipelines. Do you know what I mean? And so you end up trading knowledge. Yeah, so the people that you mentor teach you too. Like it's not one way.
It becomes a hive mind.
Yeah.
And knowledge.
I really believe that the more people that you have in your network that you can reach out to, the better. So for instance, when I was working with Aaron, we're looking at these various DNS things because the tool did cool DNS stuff. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And he's like, I don't know how to do this. And we did 1 million, you know, online searches. And I'm like, that's it. It's time to ask my network. And so I put it on Twitter. And then all these brilliant humans that follow me are like, oh, did you see this specific? Thank you. Yes.
This episode is brought to you by the generosity of AppSec Phoenix Ltd. AppSec helps startups and enterprises solve complex software security problems by using smart data aggregation and complex machine learning software. Discover how AppSec Phoenix helps CISO and developers remove friction and maximize the use of DevSecOps professionals at www.appsecphoenix.com. AppSec Phoenix is the new and smart dev-first way to manage your software vulnerability. Follow the tag #AppSecSmart.
I did the same like a week ago on maturity matrix for DevOps and AppSec. And I mean, the thread had a life of its own. I think with 200 answers strong. And everybody has their own opinion, but it's like if you collect the information, it's just a book by itself. And I'm going to start a blog on that bit because I want to keep back.
Oh yeah, and every person who answered in that blog or in that thread got to see all the other answers, and it was probably like educational.
It helps each other out
too. Exactly.
No, it always amazed me on how those things work and how they have a life of its own. It's like a simple, silly comment, positive comment, just have legs and just start walking and becomes his own word. And I love that because is people giving back by almost not knowing that they're going to give back by a single comment.
Yeah. And I feel like people that aren't participating in any sort of community things are really missing out. Like the first time I went to a conference, I'm sure that my mouth was open the whole 4 days. I was just like,
me too. Like,
and I went. So one of my friends started dating someone, and I went for dinner with them. And she's like, "Yeah, he works in security, and he didn't know who you were." And I was like, "You know, she hacks purple." And he was like, "I don't know." And he. So we all have dinner. Right? He's like, oh yeah, I just kind of keep to myself and I don't really like do online stuff and I don't really, yeah. And like his career was really kind of going nowhere. And I was like,
But like, it's also scary. It's also scary to put yourself out, and if you're not prepared, I mean, you can get depressed or you can get scared, or I mean, you need to be you need to be prepared to actually accept the word and accept being challenged on, because otherwise it can be scary.
But you don't have to be a public figure to join InfoSec community. Like lots and lots of people, they just follow and like things and retweet things, and they almost never comment, and they still like
get something out of it.
Yeah, like a lot of the people that will write me little messages, they only have like 40 or 20 followers or whatever, and it's just their friends, right? But those people have careers and are doing lots of stuff, and they'll ask whatever.
It's comparing your career and what you're doing, and having this figure that if you by yourself, I think you're in kind of this safe bubble that you need to be prepared to challenge, and not everybody is prepared to challenge his own reality, and that's fine. There is a speed for everybody. And I think what I found good in mentoring is that I push a lot of people to actually get out of the comfort zone, and if you're not naturally inclined to do that, you wouldn't. And I have that as my background, because at a certain point in my career I wasn't naturally inclined to do so, and I was out of the community for a little while. And I really, if I could dial back the clock, I would just say, you know what, I should have just gone out and did public speaking since I was 5. I actually joined the public speaking round quite late. So I say that's, if anything, that's one of my only regrets.
I did too. Honestly, I only started public speaking in 2016.
Yeah, same as. It's like, but it's once you're in the stage, once you get involved in the community in this kind of thing, you see how much have I missed out.
Yes.
That was my thing at the first conference. Like, I missed out so much.
Yeah. And even like on like the local community level, just being able to have people that you could go have coffee with and like talk over a tech problem. Because I have all of these people in my life where if there's like this really serious tech problem, I can talk it over with them and brainstorm it with them. And I know that they would be happy to like give me half an hour of their day, and that I would do this. Yeah, that I would do the same for them, because they're like a friend, right? And even when I was a software developer, I had like this network of people that I would call if I was really, really stuck. And I'm in my 40s, right? And when I first started my career, like there wasn't Google. There wasn't like that didn't really exist. Like you would go and you would search on Yahoo and you would just get pages of weird random crap, right? And you had to have people that you could talk to.
Yes. And Yahoo questions, they still exist.
Yeah.
It's true. I got a lot of good answer from the community, and Twitter is just an amazing tool to actually reach out. The speed of Twitter is not the same speed of LinkedIn and other community, I think, and the behavior of those two communities are completely different.
Yes, I find LinkedIn is very interesting. Like I'll put a post there and I'll get hundreds and hundreds of comments, but no one actually like clicks the link and goes and reads the article. But then
I find the same on Twitter.
But Twitter's the opposite. I'll have less comments on Twitter, but way, way more people will go read it. It's very
I have the opposite, actually. I have the opposite click ratio on. I have more click ratio on LinkedIn, like massive, and very little on Twitter. But I have more likes on Twitter than on LinkedIn.
So weird.
Crazy. It just depends on the people that you have and the people that you connect, I guess.
And time of year, pretty much anything that would affect any sort of, SEO trends or anything.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
Fascinating. A science in itself, if you will.
Yeah, the behavior. But moving back in AppSec or DevOps, so how did you started your first step from software developer? What were the books that were, or the teaching that were most influential, the aha moment as a software developer into security?
So I was a team lead. So I was a software developer for 17 years. So I was like the tech lead so I was in the super senior spot in the government for like a decade. And I was a bit frustrated with the current team that I was leading. So there was like a few that were rock stars, but there was a bunch where their knowledge was just way behind industry. And I was a bit frustrated as a team lead. So what I started doing, I started this lunch and learn program. And I started inviting friends that knew lots of stuff to come in and teach at lunch. And I would just give them gratitude and high fives. And unbeknownst to me, people that charge a lot of money to teach were coming in and speaking for free just because they're my friend. I had tons and tons of people come in. And then the one that became my first mentor, he came in and he put up one of our apps and it was a login screen. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to log in, even though I don't have a username and password. And it's only going to take a whole minute because I'm talking. And then he did an SQL injection and I'd never seen it. And I'm like one of those people where I have to know everything about something. Like I'm one of those people where, you know, like, I don't know, I got into like learning about investing, and for like a year and a half I had to learn about like every single different way, like how you can trade everything yourself on the stock market. Like I get obsessed with something and I need to know it inside and out. And so I was like, I must know.
Security.
Yeah. And so then he introduced me to all of these other, so basically then very quickly I met like every hacker in Ottawa where I was living. So there's only like 12 of them, right? So it was like pretty easy to meet them all. And then it was like I was their cute little sister. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, show me this. Yay. How do you do code review? Cool. And like they would come back like again and again. And then one of them was like, you should come to OWASP. I'm going to teach buffer overflows. And I was like, cool. I don't know what that means at all.
But it's cool.
Yeah. And then the leader of OWASP, Sharif Kusa, he instantaneously, it was like click. We just immediately became buds, and he became my next professional mentor. And he just started letting me organize things. I'm like, I've heard of these things called capture the flag contests, and I'm really excited and I want to do one. And he's like, oh, okay, so let's do one. And he's like, if you'll do the work, we can do it. OWASP is ours. It's our community. We can do anything we want with it. So if you'll do the work, I'm in. And so he had like this yes to everything type of attitude. And so we ran the first one and it was so exciting. I ran it every year for 3 or 4 years. And then I passed it off to this awesome woman named Jen Newton. And she builds custom systems each year. Like she's off the charts amazing. And Sharif was like, just like whatever I wanted. I'm like, I want to hold a debate. I want to do this. And he's like, let's do it. And yeah. And then OWASP WIA invited me to come speak at AppSec USA at the leaders meeting, because our chapter has more women than any other chapter in the world. Because I went to the meetings and I'm like, Sharif, why am I always the only woman? Where are all the other women? It like, no offense, but it's just like really old white dudes. I don't like what's going on. I thought security should be everybody. And he's like, I don't know, Tanya. Like, I wish everybody was here too. And I was like, but I want more women to come. And he's like, okay, so I need you to handle this, because I know that if I go up to a bunch of women and say, I wish there were more chicks in OWASP, that I will look creepy. I don't know how to express that without sounding weird.
And that fear is something that we address at WIA, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vandy and Loredana, who are both here on the call.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
So I just went.
With you guys.
Oh, thank you. So I just went to every other meetup and was like, hi, I'm Tanya, and I run this meetup called OWASP, and it's about security, and we want to teach you, and it's fun, and we do contests and this and that. And I'm like, and I'm the only woman, and it sucks. And so I individually invited every single woman I met. And then before I knew it, we had lots of women showing up. And then I wanted to have women speakers. Mm-hmm. And Sharif's like, we have had our chapter like 10 years. And every woman I've asked has said no. So I think you should present. And I'm like, oh, no. Because I'd never done public speaking. He's like, you'd be great. You're on stage all the time. I'm like, yeah, with a guitar or a drum set. Like wiggling and singing or something, not like saying smart stuff. And I'm usually half drunk. No, this is, and he's like, no, Tanya, like you should do it. And then all of like the men that help organize OWASP were so supportive, and they're like, you're going to be amazing. And so they're like, they helped me like craft my first presentation and let me like spam them with my slides and like help me present. And I was so nervous. I literally, before the presentation, I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Yeah. And then this like,
and it never disappears. That feeling never disappears.
No, I don't get stressed out at all now. Now I'm like, cool, let's do this. It's totally gone now. But this guy from my chapter came up to me. His name's Alex. He's so nice. And he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm really nervous. And he said the sweetest thing. He's like, Tanya, everyone loves you. Like, we love you. You're our chapter leader. You're basically the mascot for our chapter. Every single person here knows your name. People give you hugs when you get here. You could get up on stage and you could just drool on yourself. And we would still clap and say it was good because we care about you. And I was like, oh, he's like, it doesn't matter what you do up there. We'll love it. And he's like, you get up all the time and announce other people. You're always on stage. You're the first person we see. You shake everyone's hand. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. You'll be great. And so I went up there and I was obviously really nervous. And then everyone clapped and it was great. And then I didn't die.
Break the ice.
I did not die. And so Sharif just kept, like continuing to, just support me and encourage me and be awesome. And Wia inviting me down to speak at AppSec USA for the leaders meeting. Again, super nervous, but it worked well. I gave a 5-minute talk. I made everyone laugh. And I told them how I got so many more women. So then we had a woman speaker. And then now they've had tons of women speakers. And it's
when was it, this thing? When did you start with
I wish Sharif were on the call.
It was 2016.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see in just a few years how things have changed, drastically changed.
Yeah.
Now it's not. Now we have male supporters. I managed to get half of the speaker of the CSA panel as woman, and I got a lot of backlash for asking people to replace people. I mean, there is a whole drama. But right now we have male supporter, and I think that's how we win the war of getting the balance. It's like it shouldn't be awkward, or it's not anymore a stigma to get invited in as female speaker from a male or whatever. It's like professional. It's like you're a professional, I'm a professional, period.
Yeah, there's so many male allies, so many. But
I think right now the dial is changing. I think it's still challenging, but if it comes from woman supporting woman, I think it's a strength. It's a strong bond.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is brought to you by the generosity of AppSec Phoenix Ltd. AppSec helps startups and enterprises solve complex software security problems by using smart data aggregation and complex machine learning software. Discover how AppSec Phoenix helps CISO and developers remove friction and maximize the use of DevSecOps professionals at www.appsecphoenix.com. AppSec Phoenix is the new and smart dev-first way to manage your software vulnerability. Follow the tag #AppSecSmart.